And this is Rachel Hogue with Jose Medina and Associates and Keller Williams, and we are going to demonstrate the working with the seller and going over the marketing and all that you would see at a listing appointment if there was ever any for you to shadow. So that's why we decided to start doing this, because the shadowing was a much bigger part of training than it is now, because it's so few and far between and there's so many of you that it's almost impossible. So we thought it would be a great idea also to get some perspectives and ideas from a bunch of different people that are doing well in our industry, whether working with buyers or sellers. So I used to work with Rachel. We sat in the same office for about 2 years, and know that she has a great presentation, and I've been able to shadow her on appointments and she's shadowed me on appointments. So I'm looking forward to kind of going through this. So what we're going to do is, I'm the seller and Rachel is my agent, and we've done our introduction and she's come in, and we're just going to kind of roll through that appointment. So for you guys on the Zoom, I won't be able to pay attention to the chat. So let me just warn. Oh, okay, good. So if anyone has any questions, then Mark will be able to answer you in the chat. Otherwise, feel free to unmute yourself with any questions, and same for you guys and you. So, well, Rachel, thanks so much for coming over today and talking with me. My husband and I, who's here, are excited to hear everything that you have to tell us, so that we can make a decision whether we want to list our house or not.
Awesome. Well, we did get some information from you preemptively, to get so that I can make sure that I can come prepared to the appointment. So I do have some comps and some like the market to go over here in a little bit, but I wanted to start off and just kind of tell you a little bit about us and my team and the marketing we do. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because this is our marketing presentation. So you should have your own. I can hit some highlights though.
Yep.
Kind of give you guys some ideas. So this is our marketing packet. Just kind of want to let you know, I'm not going to go over all of this information with you. A lot of this is just for you to keep. This is yours. It does have my information in here, so you can reach me. That has my phone number. You can call me, text me. My email address is also in there. So my contact information is all there. A couple of things I do like to highlight. We do easy exit listing agreements, as you can see right here. That just means that you can cancel your listing at any point in time. So you're not locked into any certain amount of time with us. What that also means is we're going to wake up every day and re-earn your business. So my job today is not to get you to sign on the dotted line and be like, ha, 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 I've got you, Gina. My job not only is to list houses, it's really to sell houses. So that is my promise to you, and you can hold me to that. With the easy exit, you can fire me at any point in time and no commission.
Okay, interesting.
So a little information about, normally I would go over like our team and how we are set up. I'm not going to go into that right now since it's a lot different than other teams. But this one is a little bit about our marketing. So the biggest thing about our marketing system is we want to get maximum exposure for your property. Okay, so we want to make sure that the most people know that your house is for sale, so that we can make sure that we're selling it for the most profit for you. Okay,
Sounds good.
So you probably have thought about or talked to someone that said, just put a sign in your yard, just sell your house. Have you?
Well, I mean, the neighbors have been doing that.
Right. And they've probably sold their house. Have
Very
they not?
quickly.
Yes. You absolutely can put a sign in your yard right now and sell your house. It is, inventory is very low. It's very much a seller's market. That can be done for sure. One challenge I would say to that is you may not be getting top dollar for your property at that point, because you put a sign in the yard and that is one way to market a property, and maybe 100 people find out about your house. Now, if we do our exhaustive marketing plan for you, we can get 100,000 people to know about your property. What's the likelihood of your sale price then? It's going to go up, right? So more people that know about it, more people that want to bid on it, the higher the price is going to go. So that is really what our marketing is all about, is to get you maximum exposure for your property.
So you still have time to do all that marketing with us selling, so quickly, I've been noticing.
So our marketing starts the day that you say yes to us. So whether that is the same day we come out and do pictures, or it's a week before, if you're needing a little extra time for pictures and things like that, we can start marketing the property to the other agents on our team, to our brokerage even. And then once obviously the sign goes in the yard, then we can market it to the world.
Got it.
So it's pretty important to us to make sure that we are using our list of resources to make sure that people are finding out, not only buyers, but also other agents are finding out that your property is for sale, what it's listed for, all the great features it has, things like that. So we can really spark some interest in the property. Make
Great.
sense?
Yeah. Mhm.
Any questions on that?
Let's see. So what does this mean, best fit lead database?
Great question. So this is a database that we have that we are collecting information on data from these buyers all of the time. And we know what properties they're looking for, what price ranges they're looking in, what areas they're looking at. So we can literally, and I actually have a best fit leads here for you to look at. Let me just show you. So this shows you everybody that's been on our website that's been looking for a property in your area, in your price range.
Oh, nice.
So what's going to happen is we're going to reach out to them and say, hey, we have a brand new listing hitting the market tomorrow. Fits the criteria you've been looking for. Would love to be the first one, get you to be one of the first ones to get in the property. Would you like to take a look at it?
That's fantastic. Let me pause. So guys, those of you that are in Boomtown, that's what we're talking about. So what a great way to use that tool to bring to listing appointments that you already have a database of buyers that fit the criteria of their house. So you notice how Rachel brought that with her to the appointment. So what a great way to come to a listing appointment already with a list of potential buyers. Now, you don't want to leave that with the listing agent.
Correct.
I was just
going to say that.
You don't want to leave that with the client, I mean. So
yes.
Yeah.
That's something that is reference only, take it back.
That's right. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, I've never heard of such a thing before. So
Yeah.
That's great.
It is great. And it's a great way. You were just asking about marketing, and do you have enough time to do that? Absolutely. Because I can go back today and let these people know. I can send out an email to them and let them know that this, your property is hitting the market.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you have questions about other ones that you'd like me to highlight?
Do you think that there's time to do an open house?
So really, open houses right now, we use in a kind of a different capacity than we used to use open houses 3 or 4 years ago. The great thing about an open house right now is we can get a lot more people through the property in a shorter amount of time. Okay,
Okay.
so my suggestion with an open house is if we are going to list on today's Monday, let's say we come and get pictures tomorrow, then I'm thinking we do a twilight open house on Wednesday, which is from 5 to 7, right after people get off of work.
Nice.
Staying later out a little bit longer now. Minus the snow that we're having today, sorry about that. Which is kind of gross for the end of March, but it is what it is. We can get, if 25 people come through in 2 hours, that's a lot fewer private showings that you're going to have to get the kids out of the house, get the dog out of the house, whatever the case is. So it can be a great way to get more people through in a shorter amount of time. So that's my recommendation with an open house. Are you open to that?
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Okay. It is nice to kind of not mess up your world too much at that point. So
Yeah.
That's kind of how we're doing open houses right now. The interactive text marketing, that's another one that I like to highlight. So that is a number that's specific to your property. People can text that number, find out specifically about your house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It'll be information texted right back to them immediately. It also allows us to capture their information so that we can follow up. Our client care development department will follow up and say, hey, we noticed you inquired about this property. Curious if this isn't your area, your price range. Have you talked to a lender? Are you pre-approved? Do the whole help you mama bit. Make sure you're getting all the information from them that this is a willing and able buyer, and can schedule a showing with one of our buyer's agents right there on the phone.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Yeah, I love it so far.
The other thing I like to highlight too is we do premier postings on a lot of the websites that people are searching. So have you been looking for a new house?
Mm-hmm.
What sites have you been on?
Well, I'm just really typing in an area in Google, and I keep getting all these just random different sites I never even heard of before.
Okay.
So
Welcome to the new world. Yes.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people talk about Zillow, but I find that there's so much information that's incorrect on there that I really try to stay away from it.
Which is absolutely true. I'm actually glad to hear you say that, because most people do go to Zillow. Yeah. We will definitely highlight your property, promote your property on Zillow and realtor.com, because that's where a lot of people are searching. Mm-hmm. When you talk about Google searches, so we do pay-per-click marketing, that's right here. That just means we're paying for placement of your property. So we're paying for ads for your property to be promoted before other properties. So just like when you're searching Jackson Township, a certain price range, we're paying for your house to show up in that, where you see where it says ad, usually at the top. We're paying for that so that you have pay-per-click marketing. It's right there. You get noticed before your competition does.
Oh, so that's awesome. Yep. I love that.
Yep. Any other questions about any of those? I don't want to breeze over it if you have other
Yeah, I
questions.
don't think so. I think that covers marketing.
Perfect. Okay, well then if you don't mind, if we could do a quick tour of the property,
Mhm.
I'd like to take a look at it. You can let me know any updates you've done to it, maybe even some things that if you're thinking, well, we were talking about maybe doing this or this before we put the house on the market. If you have any projects kind of like that, we can talk through those too while we do the walkthrough. Is
Yeah,
that okay?
that sounds great.
Great.
The thing that comes to mind is my humidifier is brand new, but it's never functioned properly.
Oh.
So do you think that that's something we have to worry about right now?
Well, if it's not working properly, I would definitely say that it needs to go on the disclosure, but I would, if it's brand new, I would say whoever you had come out to install it, have them come out and take a look at it.
Oh, okay.
And just let them know, hey, we're putting the house on the market. We want to make sure that everything's in working order. Can you
So if
come-
we disclose it, do we still have to, like, do we have to repair it? Like,
Not
or
necessarily.
replace it? Because it is new. I just don't know why it's not working.
Yeah. Wonder if maybe it hasn't changed the spring to, or the summer to winter transition,
Yeah.
but as long as you disclose it, you don't have to repair it. I mean, unless they come back after the home inspection or some such thing and have a request that these are the items that they want
Sure.
repaired. If it's new though, I would recommend whoever you had come out. If it's not that, if it hasn't been that long, it might not even be a
Right.
service call or anything like that, just
Gotcha.
to see what's going on with it.
So little things like that, should we be going around and replacing and repairing things, even if they're just old?
Well, let's do a walkthrough because it just kind of depends on what they are and how much they add up, because there might be one or two things that I would recommend doing just for curb appeal or, just appeal of the property.
Mhm.
And then there are some other things that, like we don't necessarily need to put new flooring and stuff like that in.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, great. What about this bathroom? You see all this wallpaper in here. I know wallpaper's coming back, so they say, but maybe
Right.
not like this flower pattern.
Right. You've got it. That's exactly right. So wallpaper does have a comeback. It is a little bit more dramatic, I think, than maybe it was before, a little less florally.
Yeah.
So the tricky thing about right now with buyers and with sellers, so it's a seller's market, and there's a lot of times you don't have to do a whole lot to your property and somebody's still going to want it. And also buyers, if they're going to be paying over asking price and they're paying top dollar for a house, they're wanting a move-in ready, not have to do anything to the property kind of house. Keep in mind too, that you might be appealing to more buyers and be able to get a better price. The better your property looks and the more appealing it is to more people.
Yeah.
Do you have somebody that could remove the wallpaper? Or is it something that
I
could be
think my
done?
husband's pretty handy, so he
Okay.
could probably do it this weekend.
Okay, I would say that just because of the kind of how it dates the room,
Mhm.
that it might be a good idea if you can do it kind of in-house without too much effort, that it would probably be a good idea to take.
Yeah,
that
we've been
wallpaper down.
debating about it for a while, so it sounds like we should probably do it.
I'd recommend it. I think you'll, like I said, appeal to more people. You can get a higher dollar for it even.
So our windows are new 20 years ago, and we have a brand new roof that we put on 10 years ago.
Okay.
So like, is that good? Is that enough updates for big things like that?
Well, so mechanicals and things like that, we usually include the dates of how old they are. Keeping in mind, that there's a lifetime for all of our mechanicals, right?
Mhm.
Roof, windows, furnace, water, hot water tank, things like that. So people are going to need to know that when they're purchasing a property, what are they getting into? What are they going to need to save money for? All of that. So while it's good to know the age of things, keep in mind too that a roof and windows are necessary in a house.
Mhm.
They're not an amenity to it. They're
So we don't
necessary
get
to have
anything
it.
extra because we replaced them 25 years ago?
Not necessarily, no. You sure don't. But aren't you glad you have them?
Yes, I am.
Good
Okay.
questions.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think about the house? Do you think buyers will like it? Do you think we can get more than the neighbors because it's clean and we've obviously taken really good care of it? Does that make a difference in the market?
Absolutely, absolutely. So appeal is one of the biggest things when it comes to the market right now. Now, keep in mind, inventory is very low. One thing I want to go over with you, and this is something I go over with everybody, is we call it a market snapshot. So it just kind of shows you what's been going on in this market for like the past 12 months. So what kind of activity there is, what kind of, how many houses are on the market, that type of thing. So this one is your particular area. I did the last 12 months, like I said, and I did the price range 125 to 175. So there were 29 properties that sold in the past 12 months. Okay, and you take that 29, divide it by 12 months, you're looking at 2.4 houses sold each month over the last 12 months if you divided it out evenly. Okay, Now, right now, currently, there's only 2 active on the market in this area in this price range. What that means is we have a 1 month, slightly under a 1 month supply on the market. Now, a balanced market is a 6 month supply.
Oh,
So if we have a 1 month supply, right, we're very much in a seller's market. There are lots of buyers buying. There's not enough inventory to buy. There aren't enough houses to purchase. Okay. And you can see this column over here where it says other, that's actually properties that are under contract right now. And there's one. So I know that there are buyers looking. And this property could have gone under contract in February or March, right? Which is probably not the most exciting time to buy a house in Northeast Ohio.
right.
So I know that people are looking. And I know that there's only a 1 month supply, and we would need, 12 houses on the market to be in a balanced market. We only have 2.
Okay, makes sense.
Any questions?
So you said 125 to 175? Is there any particular reason? Like I was thinking 199.
Because there are new windows. So I pulled this because, and I have some comps to show you as well.
Okay.
Crazy seller. So I just want to show you anything that's in this section between these 2 lines here, anything that's highlighted is similar to your property. Anything that's circled is different.
Okay.
It could be different, good or bad. Like for example, this one has a 1-car garage where you have a 2. Okay. But 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, similar square footage, similar lot size, even similar year built, all of that. We're always going to be looking in the same school district too. That's something to keep in mind.
Okay.
Now this was listed for 139.9, actually sold for 139.9, and it sold in 64 days. So it took a little bit of time. Keep in mind, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people going under contract in 24 hours or 48 hours, things
Yes.
like that. That does happen for sure in this market, and it's not always the case.
Oh,
Okay. So don't be alarmed. Marketing has to do its thing, and people need to find the property and all of that. Now you can see the next couple pages here are inside pictures of the property as well. I like you to take a look at those, not so much as a buyer. Obviously, you're not looking to purchase the property, it has sold, but just kind of see how it compares to yours. Now this property is within a 1/4 mile of you. So one thing that I like to do is pull comps 2 different ways. So I'm going to pull within a 1/4 mile of you, just like an appraiser would do. When you hear real estate, you hear location, 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 right? So your neighborhood, your 1/4 mile radius is very important for value. And an appraiser, which that's one of our biggest hurdles right now, is getting properties to appraise at the sale price that they sell for. A lot of times we do have multiple offers, multiple buyers wanting to purchase a property, so that may raise the sale price. So making sure that we are in communication with the appraiser, letting them know if we have multiple offers, letting them know updates that have been done to the property to get it ready to sell, all of that to make sure that they understand the value that's in that property as well. Okay.
Yeah, but this is like that street over there with all those older houses.
Valid point. So that is probably our lowest comp to look at.
Okay, good.
So they do go up from here. Now this one, keep in mind, this one also had a 1-car garage. Same with this one. Same 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath, 2-story. This one has a 1-car garage where you have the 2. Now we're going up to 149.9. Sold for 149. This one sold, went under contract in 5 days. Okay. So again, you can see kind of the inside. I feel like we're getting a little bit, it's got some similarities to the first one we looked at. You probably have some better amenities than they do. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think mine is nicer.
Getting closer?
A little bit, but I'm still concerned with that price though.
Okay. What concerns you about the price?
I'm really surprised because if we're in such a good seller's market, I would have thought that would have sold for more.
So let's, something to consider, and I have a couple more to show you, but something to consider with pricing a property. In any market, there's 3 ways to price a property. You can underprice it, you can kind of price it at the market value, or you can overprice it. Now, my concern with overpricing in a market like now, where there may be buyers that really want to purchase a property. I know a lot of buyer mindset right now is if a property is listed at this amount, I'm probably going to have to go over that in order to secure it.
Yeah.
If I'm competing with other buyers.
You want that buyer.
Right. So if we price it at 199, which may be where we end up selling, but if we price it there, in their mind, they're thinking, I'm gonna have to go to 210, 215, maybe even 220 to get this house. And now they're thinking, I can't go that high. I'm pre-approved up to 200. And so they don't even come see the property.
Oh.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
makes sense.
So we want to make sure that we're pricing the property correctly so that we get the right buyers looking at it. And even if it does go up, which is what we want, obviously we want to get you top dollar for the house. If it does go up, we're still connecting with the right buyers that can afford that property. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So that's why when I'm looking at 125 to 175, I think the 175 might be the right price range to list at. Not saying that you can't get up into the 180s and maybe even the 190s if we get the right buyer for it. If we're pricing at 199, again, you know, people that are approved up to 200 aren't probably going to go higher just because they're not going to want to compete with other buyers at that.
That makes sense.
Okay. Great. That was easier than normal. So this other one I want to show you, also within a quarter mile of you. So the first one we looked at that was at 139.9. This one's actually at 179.9, sold for the same price. So in 39 days, still within a quarter mile of you. Now it's got a little bit more square footage than you do. It has over 2,300 square feet, but it might be kind of, while it's very colorful, might be a little more like what you're thinking with your house, like how it compares. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
I think the layout looks similar, but you know, mine's just prettier.
Thankfully.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm thinking that sounds more like the price range what we were
Okay.
hoping for.
So my suggestion to you, just talking through, you know, overpricing and underpricing and all of that. Obviously, we don't want to underprice the property at this point. I think we should list somewhere in that like 175 to 185 range in hopes that it does go up a little bit higher. And let me talk to you a little bit about that 175 price. So people look in ranges when buyers are looking online, just like you've been looking online when you Google search for your next house. You're going to look in a range, right? So if you're looking 150 to 175, 175 to 200, some sort of range like that. So the 175 actually prices you at a point where you're going to be visible to two different buyer ranges. So the 150 to 175, the 175 to 200.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. So it can, you know, give you more people looking at it, more people wanting to write an offer on it, and can enforce your price up a little bit higher. Now, if you're wanting to get closer to that 199 price, you might want to list a little bit higher, like at 179 or 185. That's up to you, but I just want you to have kind of that information as you're making a decision about pricing the property.
Okay. I
Okay.
like that.
Okay. So these are the comps I have to show you, like I said, about pricing. You know, there's kind of three ways to do it to be a little more competitive. What are your thoughts today? Like, what other questions do you have?
I think that we probably want to be in the 180 so that we can still shoot to get that just under 200.
Okay.
Just because I know that, you know, from what I'm reading and hearing, things
Sure.
are going with lots of offers.
Yeah.
So, you know, we want a buyer who's going to be able to still pay the amount that they're willing to pay. If they beat somebody else out, like,
Right.
I don't want to have to bring my price down because it doesn't appraise.
Right. Agreed. And keep in mind when when we do an appraisal, first of all, like I'm meeting with them, I'm sending them a lot of information, I'm giving them comps as to why this property sold at the price that it sold at, letting them know if we had multiple offers, all of that. So there's definitely communication there to our really, we just wanted to sell, you know, we wanted to appraise at the sale price. Okay.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, if that doesn't happen, it's not automatically that you have to drop the price to whatever the appraisal price was. Okay. So
Okay.
that gets renegotiated. That's an opening of negotiations. And maybe it's the buyer is bringing more money to closing because they have to bridge that gap. Maybe we drop a little and we meet somewhere in the middle, or we can drop it if that's, you know, what we're willing to do. But there are some negotiations that happen there. So don't feel like you just have to automatically go to whatever that sale price is. Or
Right,
appraisal
because,
price, I should
you
say.
know, when we go to buy a house, we kind of need to know how much we're going to get out of this house.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I'd like to do is a seller net sheet for you.
Great.
So we can see, and I can do, you know, 195 is kind of the sale price. So you know exactly what that would look like for you, what you would net out. Do you have a mortgage on this property currently?
We do.
Okay. And we can kind of figure that into it as well. I would do a net sheet at this point. And I would go over it. Do you want me to go over a net sheet?
We just did it. We just did.
Okay,
We
great.
just did. So what can we expect for how much time we have to be out of the house? For
Great
showings?
question. That is a great question. So I think having an open house will help. So I know you said your husband can probably remove the wallpaper this weekend.
Mhm.
Could we plan to come out and get pictures on Monday? Would that
Yes.
work?
Mhm.
Okay. What time on Monday works for you?
Can you do like 2 in the afternoon?
Let me check her schedule. Yep, 2 should work just fine. So Ashley's our photographer. She'll be coming out, getting the photos, putting the sign up, putting the lockbox on. We'll need a key for the lockbox. That will be for showing.
We have one right here.
You are the most prepared seller I've ever
We
had.
also
Thank
did
you.
our property disclosure too.
I love it, which is great. 'Cause we do email that to you.
I know, I printed it and I did it.
Fantastic. I'm just going to take a quick look at the property disclosure, make sure you answer all the questions, because almost always somebody misses one because there's one hidden in there or whatever. Looks good. And so she'll be here Tuesday or Monday at 2 to get pictures. The listing will go online that day.
Oh.
So I think, are you open to a twilight open? We could do it Wednesday from 5 to 7. Does that work in your schedule?
It does.
Okay, so let's plan to do that. That way we can get some extra people in. My thought is, if you hit the market with a bang, you'll probably have some showing requests even that Monday night still.
Oh.
You're definitely gonna have requests on Tuesday. And Wednesday, we'll do the open house Wednesday night. And then at that point, if we have multiple offers, we can always ask for highest and best by like Thursday morning at 10, and then we can kind of reconvene at that point. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so what if we start getting offers already on Monday? Do we wait till Wednesday?
Don't have to. We certainly don't have to. If we find an offer that fits what we want and has all the right terms, keep in mind, there's a lot more to an offer than just the price.
Mhm.
So my job is to take a look at different terms. So like who they're pre-approved with, what kind of lender it is, what's the likelihood. The biggest thing for me is what's the likelihood of this particular offer closing with the terms that they have written. Okay.
Yeah, let me also mention, we don't have any place to go. We don't have any
Okay.
family here in town.
Sure.
And we have these 2 big dogs,
Yeah.
so we can't like go rent someplace. So it is important that we get to be able to stay here as long as possible.
Understood. So we could even like include in the listing that you guys need possession until. So let's say, I mean, we're talking the very beginning of April to be listing your house. Like, do you think end of June would give you enough time to find something and get out?
Yeah,
Or-
because we've already come across a few things that we like, so
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be too hard to find something.
Okay. And do you need to sell this property in order to purchase the next one? Like, do you need the proceeds from this property? for
We
that?
don't need them,
Okay,
but it would certainly help us, to be able to have more of a down payment when we
Okay.
buy.
but you could close technically on a new house before you closed on this one. So if somebody wanted to do kind of an extended closing,
We
if the
could.
buyer did. Okay, perfect. That puts you in a pretty good situation. So my thought is we go ahead and do that. We could also make it contingent upon you finding a property. So that way there's no chance of you being quote unquote homeless.
Oh, so our buyer would like wait until we find something?
Correct. So basically, we would put directly in the listing that it's contingent upon you finding a house. So if they submitted an offer, we're gonna say, hey, we need 45 days to find a property. In which case they say, yeah, take 45 days, or they might negotiate it down to 30. And then after that time, if you haven't found a house, you don't have to sell to that particular buyer. You can also ask for an extension, things like that. But there's just another couple ways to handle it. So you can do a seller contingency, meaning giving us time to find a house. Or you can put kind of a deadline. I have a couple people who are building houses that have done kind of an extended close date. I need until the end of June, at least, if you feel
That
comfortable
would
that
make
you
me
find
feel much
something.
better if we wouldn't have to be forced to give up possession too soon.
Okay,
So Rachel, tell us, we did meet with 2 other agents
Sure.
over the weekend.
Yep.
One of them was like really low commission.
okay,
So just out of curiosity, what is your fees and commission?
great question. So we, our commission, so for us to market, list, represent you, it's 3% on our side. You can do a 3% on the buyer agent side, which would be a 6% commission total. Now that goes directly into your marketing. So for example, like this particular property has a 2.5% commission that they're giving to the buyer. I will say buyers agents work just like a listing agent does. This is how we make our living. So offering a 2.5%, while appealing because it's going to save you a 0.5% commission, may also kind of limit who comes to see the property. Buyers agents are going to, if a buyer is between a property that's offering a 3% commission or a 2.5% commission, which property you think that they're going to push their buyer to actually write on potentially? Probably the 3%. But keeping in mind, you can offer a 2% on the buyer agent side, which would make a total of 5.5% commission. or you can do the 3, which would be a 3% or a 6% total. So
Hmm.
you have a little control over it that way.
So what if you sell the house when you hold it open on Wednesday, like you have a buyer?
If so, we do on our team, we actually do a 5% commission since we're keeping it all in-house. So if one of my 11 buyers agents on my team represents the buyer, then it is a 5% commission.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the reduced commission, when you said a rather low commission, my concern whenever I hear that is getting what you pay for. So you absolutely can go somewhere else and find a cheaper commission, and you're also probably not going to find an agent that's going to work as hard as we do and put as much money into the marketing and making sure that we get top dollar for your house.
Yeah, we thought they were crazy anyway.
But yeah, there's, all sorts of commission structures out there and things like that. My recommendation is do 6, 3% to us, 3% to the buyer's agent, and then we do a 5% if we sell it ourselves. But if you want to do it 2.5% on the buyer agent side, that is something that.
No,
is
we want to
offered.
get the best buyer possible.
Perfect.
Also has a good agent on their side.
Agreed.
Okay, I think we will do it with the 6% at 170 or 179 or 185.
You wanted to be in the 180s?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that sounds good.
Okay. I can go ahead, we can do paperwork now, or I can dot loop it to you and you can sign everything electronically, whichever is easiest for you.
Well, since we're here.
Great. And then we'll.
And that's it. I didn't want to beat you up to that. Questions about anything for Rachel while she's here?
What? So this, we jumped into the listing presentation. You came prepared. What questions? So say Gina was a friend of a friend. What questions were important for you to have answered coming into this meeting to ensure that you were as prepared as possible?
Good question. So we call it a seller red sheet, and that's simply because it's actually red for us. And it is the questions we're asking, the property that they're selling, if they currently live there, their contact information, obviously, are they moving locally or out of the area? If you like what we have to say, are you ready to put the house on the market right away, like in the next 30 days? AKA what's their motivation, basically? Then we're doing basic stats on the property. So bedrooms, bathrooms, we do not need square footage. We'll look that up on tax record. Do they have a finished basement? What kind of garage? How big of a garage? Is it attached? Is it detached? Any special, unique things about the property? What do they like about the property? My question that I usually ask them is like, why did you pick this house? You bought it for some reason. Why did you pick it? Any updates or improvements they've done to it in the past, like 3 years, not 25 years? How long they've owned the property? Again, you can probably pull that off a tax record, but it helps them to be kind of thinking about their house and things they're going to. Also leads into the next question, which is, what do you owe on the property? And that is a tricky one to get. So I usually ask that a couple different ways. So do you have an idea just roughly what you owe on the property? Do you have an estimated like appraisal value of the property, anything like that? You will be surprised at how many people will answer that question without holds barred. Like they just, it's not that scary of a question to ask. Most people don't ask it. And it's good information to know, just like knowing what Gina's going to owe on this house so that she also is going to use whatever money for proceeds on the next house. So, and then the final question we ask them is what they think it's worth. In your mind, have you looked on Zillow? Have you been on Redfin, whatever the case is? Like, do you have an idea of what you think your property is worth or what you'd like to get out of it? Other than $1 million, what would you like to get out of your house? And I will make a joke about it. You know what I mean? Like, if I can't sell it for $1 million, what do you think your property is worth?
That helps prepare you to know what you're up against and what their expectations might be.
Absolutely.
Just so you're more poised in the conversation.
Which would gear me a little bit better for the question. Like Gina threw me for a loop when she said, well, I think it's worth $199. Well, the comps that I brought for my listing appointment later today is not a $199 house. It's just not that. So, and you want to know that. So like ask that when you're on the phone with them so that when you're going into that appointment, I know if she thinks it's $199 and I think it's $175, like I've got to bring a lot of supporting comps with me to show her that. You know what I'm saying? So better to be prepared for the appointment and have that question answered up front than to like sit down at the appointment and be like, oh crap. Like I got a lot of work to do.
I have a question for you. How early do you list a house if, like, for example, this situation happened to me over the weekend? We want to list our house, we're building a house, it's gonna be done in December. So then they ask the question, how early do you think we should list the house?
So my biggest thing about the building, because this has happened a lot recently, is I need them for a pretty long in the building process so that I know that they're not going to be delayed too much. And I can get people to wait 3 months to move into a house at this point. Like as a listing agent, like I know buyers, I think I've sold 3 in the past probably 6 to 9 months that are an extended closing that are not paying any rent. So like that is reality right now. So
Is there a certain time, like after 90 days, you have to pay rent or just whatever's in the contract?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, whatever's in the contract, yeah, whatever's agreed upon.
I have a comment on that. I will say depending on the area too, I think people are willing to wait.
Yeah.
I had clients, right, and I was shocked there was at least 8 offers on it, but the sellers didn't even want to get out till October or November, and they still had 10 offers on it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
They were waiting a week. So I would say depending on the area.
More desirable,
Yeah,
more
yeah,
popular.
I mean, I saw that from the buyer side too, like, they wanted to stay till July and they have it on the market now, and people are like, sure.
Oh, that easy.
Yeah.
For a December closing, I would probably list like late summer,
Wow.
early fallish, but like, again, because you're building and there's delays and stuff with building, like I want to be fairly into that process to know like if they're going to be delays and stuff. That's my recommendation.
Thanks.
If she weren't ready to sign in that moment, how do you handle that?
So I'm going to do everything I can to get her to sign because she may have used the excuse, well, my husband's going to do the stuff this weekend, so maybe we can connect next week about signing paperwork and stuff. Normally I'm coming with like, I didn't do this, but I would come with paperwork already filled out, like with their names and everything. So it's a pretty easy process. So I can say, hey, Gina, I've got paperwork right here, ready to go. Why don't we go ahead and get signatures? We'll plan for Monday at 2 o'clock for pictures. If you have any delays at all with the wallpaper coming down, we can always adjust that. But you know, we've got the paperwork signed and we're good to go, especially if she's talked to other agents.
What if there's another agent coming? Yeah, thanks, Rachel, but we've got someone else lined up for tomorrow that we just want to make sure that we're doing the process carefully. I like what you've had to say, but we just want to make sure that we meet them too.
I appreciate that, Mark. And, you know, honestly, we're ones to tell people to meet with multiple agents. But if you feel comfortable with, you know, our relationship and how we can handle marketing your property, you know, let's go ahead and sign paperwork. I'm happy to reach out to that agent. I mean, you've already talked to another agent, so it's not like you're going into this blind or I'm the only one talking to you. I'd be happy to call that agent and just go ahead and let them know that we're going to be going ahead and listing your property. It's going to be going on the market on Monday. And if they have a buyer for it, to let us know right away. And
What
yes,
about
I
this?
have called other agents.
How about this? I'm not sure he's gonna get the paperwork, I mean, the wallpaper down this weekend.
Mhm.
He might not. So like, what if I just call you when it's done? Like, I don't know what day we're ready to go live yet.
Like for pictures, you're not sure what day for
Yeah,
pictures?
like what if we don't know a list date right now? Like, I'm not 100%.
Well, here's what I think, Gina. I think the market is telling us, you know, like inventory is very low. I don't think the wallpaper in the bathroom is the make or break for us. And we can also put in there that seller is planning to remove the wallpaper in the bathroom
Okay.
when that comes to happen. I still think that we should shoot for Monday at 2 o'clock to get pictures, get the house on the market. That way we can do our scheduled plan of between the, you know, twilight open on Wednesday and all of that. So are you open to that?
Yes.
You'd
I-
prefer to fill in a date and then change it if necessary. On the listing.
We have a date. Who doesn't want a date, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was more leaning to also, let's leave the date off.
Yeah.
Right now, and then we can just add it later. If we do paperwork right now, because
Oh,
my
sign
husband and I
everything.
are not usually home in the middle of the day together like this, so why don't we go ahead and just do that? But can we just tell you the list date like next week?
Yeah.
And we can still sign everything now?
Yes, we do that. I don't know that the broker will tell you to do that.
No, no, there is a way around it, because I've had Rich call me and say, did you tell people in a class? And here's the way. when we add the date, we have you initial the change on the
Listing
exclusive
agreement.
right to sell. So that's how. So, because he was teaching on contracts class and someone said, Gina said we can have it signed. And I'm like, but you left out the,
Yeah.
and then you can initial it.
A date and signed paperwork is your ultimate. Signed paperwork is like the step below that. If you can't solidify on a date. I'm also in this particular market, like, I'm not getting hung up about the wallpaper in the bathroom.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm just not, like, I'd rather get your house on the market. I don't care what condition it's in. I don't care if you don't have mulch on the flower beds just yet. Like, it's just a different market than it used to be.
Mhm.
In a different market, I'll tell you something else, but you know, like, I want you to look your absolute best, but you will sell for more and
Right.
you'll sell faster and you'll have more appeal if you don't have the wallpaper in the bathroom. Get it
Didn't
done
used
right.
to matter, but it does now.
One
Other
comment of what I think you did really well, along with everything, was I think it can be tempting in a listing presentation to just talk about the house and about the process. But one of the things that you clearly understand and communicated a lot was understanding the buyer, both data wise as well as the psychology of the buyer. And if I'm a seller working with an agent who really doesn't just understand what paperwork we need to have done and the timing of things, but getting into the mind of the person that's most likely to buy it, that's going to speak really well to me. Really well illustrated.
Anybody on Zoom have any questions?
Not yet.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was easy enough. Not that we have it.
I'm gonna laugh when I go to this listening appointment. and they